James Elms Swett was a United States Marine Corps fighter pilot and flying ace. During World War II. He was awarded the United States' highest military decoration, the Medal of Honor, for actions while a division flight leader. Born on June 15, 1920, in Seattle, Washington, James E. Swett graduated from San Mateo High School, San Mateo, California, and enrolled at the College of San Mateo in 1939. He earned a private pilot's license, which amounted to 450 more hours of flying than he received during his Navy flight training. He enlisted in the U.S. Naval Reserve as a seaman second class on August 26, 1941, and started flight training in September. VMF 221 Swett completed flight training in early 1942, placing in the top 10% of his class. He was given the option to choose between a commission in the Marine Corps or the Navy, and he chose the Marine Corps. He was commissioned as a second lieutenant at NAS Corpus Christi, Texas, on April 1, 1942. He continued his advanced flight training, first at Quantico, Virginia, then at Lake Michigan, became carrier qualified aboard the USS Wolverine, and finally received his wings at San Diego, California. In December 1942, he shipped out to the Southwest Pacific, and when he arrived at Guadalcanal he was assigned to VMF 221, which was part of Marine Air Group 12. On April 7, 1943, on his first combat mission, Swett both became an ace and acted with such conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty that he was awarded the Medal of Honor. His first mission was as a division leader on a combat air patrol over the Russell Islands early on the morning of April 7 in expectation of a large Japanese air attack. Landing to refuel, the four-plane division of Grumman F-4F Wildcats he was leading was scrambled after other aircraft reported 150 planes approaching Iron Bottom Sound, and intercepted a large formation of Japanese Aichi D-3A dive bombers Allied code name VAL attacking Tulagi Harbor. 2 When the fight became a general melee, Swett pursued three Aichi D-3A VALs diving on the harbor. After he had downed two, and while he was evading fire from the rear gunner of the third, the left wing of his F-4F Wildcat was holed by U.S. anti-aircraft fire. Despite this, he downed the third VAL and turned toward a second formation of 6 VALs leaving the area. 2 Swett repeatedly attacked the line of dive bombers, downing each in turn with short bursts. He brought down 4 and was attacking a 5th when his ammunition was depleted and his cockpit was shot up by return fire. Wounded, he decided to ditch his damaged fighter off the coast of Florida Island, after it became clear that his oil cooler had been hit and he would not make it back to base. After a few seconds his engine seized, and despite initially being trapped in his cockpit underwater, Swett extricated himself and was rescued in Tulagi Harbor after ditching his plane. This feat made the 22-year-old Marine aviator an ace on his first combat mission. 11 days later, near the island of New Georgia, Swett downed 2 more Bettys. Seeing his wingman's Corsair under attack, he also shot down a Zero. However, he failed to see a second Zero and was himself shot down. He was rescued by indigenous tribal members in a canoe and traveled by 10-man canoe for several hours to an Australian coast watcher's location. A PBY flying boat returned Swett to the Russells. In October 1943, over the major Japanese airbase at Kahili, Bougainville, Swett added 1 confirmed Zero and 1 probable, but lost his wingman. In November, he added to his list of kills 2 more VALs and a possible Kawasaki Ki-61 Tony, a new Japanese fighter. On December 11, Swett returned to the United States on a Dutch motor ship, arriving in San Francisco on New Year's Eve. After less than 24 hours, he shipped out to San Diego, where he was granted 30 days leave and married Lois Anderson, his longtime sweetheart. Swett was then transferred to NAS Santa Barbara, California, where he worked up a newly manned VMF 221 in the Corsair. Now carrier qualified and assigned to the USS Bunker Hill, Swett flew 2 strikes over Japan and then supported the landings at Iwo Jima and the operations on Okinawa. On May 11, 1945, he shot down a Yokosuka D-4Y Judy kamikaze, which he described as a sitting duck. Swett watched from the air as the Bunker Hill was struck by two kamikazes, causing such damage that he was forced to land on another carrier. Swett later returned to the States and was assigned to MCAS El Toro, California, where he began to train for Operation Olympic, the invasion of Japan. At war's end, VMF 221 was second in aerial victories among Marine Corps squadrons with 185 enemy planes downed. Swett's combat.